In 1959, two social psychologists, French and Raven, came up with 5 sources of managerial power: referent, legitimate, coercive, reward, and expert, and they broke them down into 2 categories. The 2 categories are formal and personal power. In this video, we'll focus on the formal category, which includes legitimate, reward, and coercive power. The formal category means that someone who demonstrates power here holds some type of formal position of authority, often in an organization. Legitimate power is based on a position or legitimate authority. French and Raven provide 3 different foundations for legitimate power, which include culture, acceptance of social structure, and designation by a legitimizing agent. This is actual authority or power an individual holds in a formal organization based on a predetermined hierarchical structure, often depicted as an organization chart. Some examples exercising legitimate power in the workplace include hiring and terminating employees, completing performance appraisals, setting behavioral expectations, and delegating tasks. Research showed the perception of legitimate power and impact on locus of control had a stronger bearing on those with an internal locus of control. Sometimes categorized under the legitimate power, supervisors utilize both coercive and reward power to demonstrate influence and motivate a response from the employee. The second type of power, which is categorized as formal, is reward power. It is the opposite of coercive power. Robbins and Judge said this is the ability to give or withhold rewards based on performance. This is the idea of adding a positive factor to create a positive environment, or removing a negative factor to create a positive environment, with the understanding that the positive working environments result in increased employee effort. For example, one reason a supervisor exhibits reward power is to motivate an employee to replicate a particular behavior or produce a similar outcome. The intention is to create a positive environment within the workplace that serves to motivate employees. Thus, the rewarded employee becomes an example for employee standards and creates an optimal relationship between the supervisor and employee. Other examples include granting flex time, issuing a pay raise, promoting an employee, or allowing an associate to work from home. Other non-workplace rewards would be allowing points on a quiz or permitting a child to have a treat. French and Raven found that applying a reward power type of system led to increased production through monitoring piecework in a factory-based scenario. While it may be difficult to materialistically reward a large number of associates, like some of the examples on the prior slide, a good supervisor can eliminate roadblocks to ensure the greatest possible outcomes and grant equity within those outcomes, using words of encouragement to make employees feel valued or empowering employees. Similarly, other research confirmed a positive relationship between supervisors using reward power and empowering employees. The final power dynamic categorized as formal power is coercive. Coercive power is the ability to penalize others or remove a positive existing element. Some of the many examples of coercive power used by supervisors include publicly shaming someone to gain influence, unnecessarily terminating employees, using threatening responses, purposefully withholding relevant or important information, excluding certain individuals on meeting invitations, intentionally causing a negative result on a project, not approving time off, sexual harassment, terminating or threatening to terminate or withhold a promotion, or withholding some other positive within the environment, like flex time, vacations, or bonus opportunities. This power, when used inappropriately, is not an acceptable practice of management. Those who have a span of control, meaning they have direct reports, have the ability to exercise reward or coercive power. Research has shown the stronger the negative influence, the more dependent employees are on the supervisor for future direction, often for fear of reprimand, of delineating from the expected course of action. A supervisor exhibits coercive power for a number of reasons. For example, a supervisor may try to use coercive power to motivate employees to stop a particular negative behavior, such as underperforming or behavioral issues like constant absenteeism. In efforts to emphasize the importance of a given situation, a supervisor may threaten with removing a positive or introducing a negative to try to initiate a specific response or outcome. Sometimes this power type is used simply because the supervisor lacks confidence. When coercive power was used, various researchers found decreased job satisfaction, lack of employee responsibility, and increased stress. They found employees worked reactively rather than proactively, and they completed the bare minimum of required work. Additional research concluded that subordinates with an internal locus of control believed they had the ability to influence situations and could be successful. Likewise, they concluded those with an external locus of control did not believe they had any control over the situation, including supervisor influence, and did not expect to have organizational success. The conclusion that coercive power should be avoided because it is less influential in motivating employees, even though it can present a fair environment, like not allowing for flex time to associates who haven't met quality or quantity standards, provides a realm of control, and creates some form of conformance. If you would like some specifics on formal power, feel free to check out my article on French and Raven's power dynamics. I'll be sure to put the link in the description. Some takeaways. Supervisors using either reward or coercive power can have a significant impact on employee motivation. Supervisors should have the ability to understand how his or her behavior affects employee motivation. In various types of business settings, demonstrating power modifies the receiver's behavior positively or negatively. Supervisors who positively influence employees are likely to produce positive outcomes. The same idea is true for supervisors who negatively use influence on employees. They are likely to produce negative outcomes. Hopefully you learned a little more about formal power and liked this video.